So Jason, please come up. One of the things he said that stood out in his mind in terms of memory in this program was when he went to assist with a culinary class, and next thing you know, he was thrust into a supervisory role, and no one died from food poisoning, and he absolutely loved it. So, Jason, as a token of the affection from this unit and the commanders, I'd like to present you with the shout-outs. The next senior to be leaving us is Hansel Ramos. The first year we did this, I referred to you as the fastest human I've ever met. That still holds true. And I think he's a machine, and I'm still waiting for evidence to prove me otherwise. He is going to be attending Lake Sumter School and seek a profession in nursing, so he's going to continue to serve others as he does now. He said that one memory that stood out that was a defining point in his Sea Cadet career was when he went to RT recruit training in Pensacola. He was a little disheartened with a couple experiences he had, but once he met the people, the staff, the cadets at that training, the facilities, and the education he received, he knew this is where he wanted to be. So Hansel, please come up and be recognized for all of your hard work. And our last cadet is not Joey Walter. Ladies, sorry. But it is Kirk Sindel. I had seen Kirk, I think you were 10 when I met you. And here you are graduating, leading a unit. He's going to be going to Florida Atlantic University. He told me to say that he's going to get a master's degree in basket weaving and seek a profession as a space shuttle pool gunner. So I'm sure you can do it. He has set an example for what the chiefs and leaders should be of this unit. I know we're all proud. I know his father, the CO, is incredibly proud. If you would, please come up here and be recognized for your hard work. Round of applause for our graduates. At this time, I would like the XO or CO, whichever we prefer, to come up and introduce our amazing guest speaker.
very honored to introduce Captain Rock Daze. Told me like resume, so I had to really think about that. Captain Rock Daze was born as the middle of 10 children in Los Angeles, California. He is a Naval Academy graduate, and he holds a master's degree in systems management from USC. He was an F-14 pilot for 13 years, a Top Gun graduate at Naval Air Station Miramar, and he was assigned to the USS America, where he had over 385 aircraft carrier landings. That's an amazing feat, sir. He was nominated as Fighter Pilot of the Year after accomplishing the only asymmetrical wing landing on an aircraft carrier as well. If you guys don't know what that means, that's normally the wings look symmetrical. One's out and one's in, correct, sir? That's no easy feat to land it. It's even a more difficult feat to land that on a moving aircraft carrier. So that's a pretty amazing feat. He was an air show and instructor pilot for VF 101 in Virginia Beach, a test pilot at NAS North Island in San Diego, California, and was the Air Systems Command for the Navy Reserve. He was the commanding officer for engineering support for the Naval Rework, the Naval Air Station Jacksonville, Florida, and the Navy Simulation Center in Orlando, Florida. After his career, I guess you like flying. He flew for American Airlines, was captain for 27 years. He was the captain of Boeing 737s and 737 MAX, and he was the ramp supervisor and flight manager in Miami. So, with no further ado, I present Captain Rock Daze.
I'm Rock Daze, and I'm not here to give a lecture. We're here to celebrate all these men and women who are choosing to stand apart. Before we go any further, I'd like everybody who has served to please stand up. And all of you think it's just the military. I'd like anybody who's in the police, has been in the police. I'd like anybody who's volunteered to help their kids in a sport. How about the mothers that volunteered in school? You know, we all wear different uniforms. Hey, wait, we need a round of applause for everyone. As I said, we all wear different uniforms. We all find different ways of leading. Some people think that leading is jumping out ahead with a sword or being on the pointy end. And that's true sometimes. But true leaders lead from within. Because that's where it starts. It starts with all of you, men and women, who've decided to look inside yourselves and find something a little bit different, a little bit stronger. The willingness to go forward and to learn. To stand apart. You know, standing apart and being a leader, and oh, by the way, you think it's going to be over when you stop serving here? Or you think it's going to be over when you stop serving as a chief? No. Because being a leader is like the person who's called to fight the bully. Come on in, fight this bully. I know you can do it. So you stand out to do it. When you look behind you, there's nobody there. Ouch. But that's not what you do it. You do it because what's inside you. And that's what we all try to find. What's inside us that's strong and special. And that's what each one of you have. It's growing. It'll be tested. You'll make mistakes. We all do. There's only one guy that didn't make a mistake, and they crucified him, so it's okay if you make mistakes. A big part of life is visualizing where you want to go, who you want to be. Who in here has ever visualized something? If you were in a sport, you definitely visualized. You didn't visualize what was going to happen, you couldn't do it. And you want to know what? Every successful person visualizes. You just might not know it. You might think of how your family is going to be, how your garden is going to be, how you're going to raise your kids. And you have a picture in your head. And that's the most important thing in life. Don't ever go someplace that you haven't been there before in your heart and in your mind. That is what will keep you safe and make you great. And greatness is not medals. I went away thinking I was going to be a hero, and years ago I went back and my younger sister, who ended up dying of a cancer, had spent her time at home raising her kids, being a teacher. She was one of those teachers, as you all know, wouldn't let people get away with stuff because she wasn't going to let the good kids who wanted to learn not learn. There were so many people at the church, so many people came to visit her and realized she was the lion because she took care of her family and she led. Because did you know that every leader leads? And some people use words. We all do the best we can. And the other huge thing about visualization is the communication. Because if you can't get people to follow your vision, where does it go? And the chief here will tell you, and all the officers here will tell you, and the chiefs that are graduating here will tell you, you don't lead from the front. You get in the middle, you make sure everybody knows, you know your guys, you know your girls, you know their strengths, their weaknesses, you bring them up, and then you share your vision, you get them to believe in the vision, and then you say, okay, everybody, let's get going. My late father, who was worked in World War II, I'll call it worked. It's amazing when you think about it. He was a upper middle class man who was in a private university, Santa Clara. And as a sophomore in college, like many of the men back then, he was drafted. In less than 6 months, he had gone through training. He'd been shipped through Africa and was sitting on the beach in Anzio. All of you who are parents, maybe excluding these men and women that are here, can you imagine doing that? 6 months. And my dad used to say, you tell your men the hill you're taking and why. Why? Because that's how you communicate. And therefore they can fight better, they can go better, and equally important, if something happens to you, they'll still get there. It's really important to know yourself. Don't ever lie to yourself. It's like trying to build a home, a wall with a bad foundation. Now, I'm not telling you that you can always show the truth every second. Everybody knows, the chief, the officers, the captains, the masters, the mothers, they know that sometimes you have to pick your time, but never lie to yourself. Know yourself. Now, before I go any further, I want to hear from our graduates. I want to hear from our graduates so they can tell you what they learned and what they took away from being with all the people, because you know what's the most important thing? the people you spend time with.
Well, as some of you may know, my name is Chief Shadell. I'm the Command Chief of Valentine. How's it going, guys? So when it comes to leadership, a lot of the experience I gained just was overall experience. What I learned to do, the way I learned to lead, my style of leadership came from experiencing the bad moments, the good moments. I learned how to lead by example, not just lead from the front and give commands. Giving commands only goes so far. When you have cadets that are tired, when you have cadets that really don't want to do the work, that the work still needs to get done, you have to somehow motivate these cadets and motivate everyone around you to do better, to be better, and accomplish the task. And that's what I feel like I was able to accomplish in the Sea Cadets, was to learn how to effectively lead people and how to effectively communicate what needs to get done and motivate, everyone around me. So it's been an absolute pleasure, commanding you guys. I really don't know what else to say, but thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Chief Garcia. Nice to meet you all. So one of the biggest things that I have gotten out of this program is not only being a leader, but to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. In order to really lead and to give by example, you got to lead by example. And that's one of the things that, I really got out of the program.
Hi, my name is Chief Lou Ramos. Hi guys. So one thing I learned a lot from this program is self-discipline. In some parts of your life, you will learn how to that there are people going to be better than you. There are people that will strive more than you, and there's sometimes people who just have more advantage than you have in your life right now. But one thing I learned